You're listening to episode 134, Rebekah's Story, a teenager with severe food allergies. Hello, my friends. I'm so happy that you're here today. I am Katie. This is the Child Life On Call podcast. In this podcast, we talk to parents, caregivers, clinicians, experts, and today a teen about having an illness or diagnosis or being on a medical journey. We know as child life specialists and clinicians in the hospital and your fellow parents that when your child is sick or you are sick or your health is in jeopardy, it is overwhelming. And that's exactly why this podcast exists, so that you can hear other stories, feel less alone, gain some wisdom for someone else who has been through it before. Today is an exciting episode. We're doing things a bit differently. I feel like I've been saying that a lot. So I guess after 134 episodes, things start to shift and we get a little crazy with different kinds of interviews. But today we're interviewing a 17-year-old, Rebekah, and she is just fabulous, first of all. She has so much energy and does not let anything hold her back, and I think you're going to hear that today. She has grown up her whole life with severe food allergies, and in this conversation we talk about what that was like being in middle school and not being invited to things because of food allergies, having to go to the hospital a lot, what she understood and what she didn't understand about being a child with food allergies. So I hope that this episode not only helps parents who have a child that may have food allergies so you can hear what Rebekah has gone through, but also as a great resource for other teens with food allergies. So without further ado, let's get started with our conversation with Rebekah. Okay, really quick before we jump into the conversation. If you are a child life specialist and you are certified and you like cool people and you like to get really affordable PDUs and you love to share information and resources because you don't want to reinvent the wheel, then you need to come join us in the Child Life Circle community. We are child life specialists who not only chat on forums and share information, but we get really cool webinars from community organizations and also access to PDUs. So it is $14.99 a month until the end of October. So come in and join us, be a founding member, get to know us. We hope to see you. You can visit childlifeoncall.com, click on Child Life Circle to learn more information, including a letter to give to your employer to see if they can pay for your memberships. So, okay, join us there and we hope to see you.
Okay, so I'm Rebekah Wallace. I'm 17 years old, almost 18, and I go to Center Hill High School, and this is actually my senior year, and I'm a cheerleader, so I love to cheer, and I also do pageants, which I just did a state pageant it was this month, so in the beginning of July, and it went amazing. I am involved in a lot of extracurricular activities, so pageants, cheer, and I'm also a part of clubs at my school. It's just something that I love to do in my free time.
I love that so much. It sounds like you have a lot of energy and there's not much that's going to hold you back.
Yes, I am always on the go. I'm always busy.
If you were to have to pick a favorite between cheerleading and pageant, or they're pretty similar, probably just in terms of being in front of a crowd and performing, is that kind of where your passion is?
Yeah. So I love both. I don't know if I can pick.
Okay.
I've been doing pageants longer than cheer. I've been doing them since I was 5, and I've only been cheering since I was about 12.
I love that.
So if I had to, I'd probably pick pageants.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Well, tell us a little bit about why you're here on the podcast today. It's a little bit different than normal. We typically have parents sharing stories, but today we get to hear, I'm going to say child, but you're not a child. You're a teenager, almost an adult. But why don't you just talk to us a little bit about kind of your first memory of understanding that there was something different that you had to think about that other kids did not?
So my platform is called EpiCare's Epinephrine Education and Awareness, where I get to advocate for the food allergy community. I am allergic to 6 of the top 9 major food allergens. So I can't really think of the earliest memory because this has basically been my whole life where I've had to live with something that not many people have to live with. And it's been a struggle, especially when I was younger. I didn't know any better, so my mom would catch me going to the cabinet and eating chocolate when I was not supposed to. I've kind of gotten used to it as I've gotten older, but I would say that it was a lot harder when I was younger because I didn't know any better.
Right. You maybe, as a younger child could think like, why do I have to follow these rules? Like they don't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
And then the older you get, you start to understand a bit more. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it was very hard, especially my mom would catch me almost every day trying to get to the cabinet and eat something I'm not supposed to, and then I would have to go to the hospital. And sooner or later, I realized that I need to stay away from these things.
Was there a particular time or, experience that happened that was that shift for you, or was it kind of just a slow growth and like an aha that kind of, lasted a little bit of time?
It was honestly kind of a slow growth, and me just growing up with them, I kind of I had to get used to it, and I would say slow growth. I kind of got used to it as I got older, and I had a better understanding at around probably age 10. I tried to mature and just had to realize how important these allergies are and how vital it is to stay away from these foods.
So talk to us a little bit about what those experiences were like when you went into the hospital. And you've told me that you've had a couple of anaphylactic reactions. Do you remember anything from those? And what experiences do you take away from that?
Especially when I was younger, again, when I went to the hospital, I was terrified. It was very scary. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know why I had to go through this. And I actually did have my first experience where I had to use an EpiPen. I think it was around age 11, and my mom, I gave her my EpiPen, and I told her, you have to use this. I was the one who was trying to stay calm, and my mom was freaking out. But she used it, and what caused this allergy reaction was actually a beauty face mask. It had almond in it, and I remember in my mind, I was thinking about a lot of things. I was freaking out, but I kind of had to, since my mom was freaking out, I had to not show it. But when I was younger, it definitely scared me. But again, when I got older, I had to get used to these types of things. And whenever I'm going through something like this, I have to stay calm because I know if I don't, that it'll possibly get worse.
Yeah. What kind of testing did you have to go through to find out, what food sensitivities you had? And do you remember any of that?
So every year I have to go get tested for different food allergies to see if I've grown out of something, grown into something. So I have to have a yearly checkup. But I remember I got diagnosed, or I don't remember because I was so young, but my mom told me I had to get diagnosed at around 5 months old. And so she took me to the hospital or the doctor, and they had to test me because I had been having weird reactions that my mom was like, what is this? What's going on? So I do remember that I had to go to the doctor, and they tested me, and then they found all of these allergies. And I used to be allergic to more than I am now. So one of those yearly checkups, I had grown out of 2 of my allergies.
Okay. You've always heard that you can grow out of things, and you're kind of living proof that you can. So tell me, when did the shift happen from, being that really scared child in the hospital to where you are now, 17 years old, and creating this whole program to teach younger kids. When did that shift really start to happen?
So I was very a scared, shy, meek kind of child. And that's kind of where pageants came into hand. I started pageants when I was about 5 years old, and competing in them, I had to start a personal platform. And basically, what that is what you've been through and what you want to teach others about. And so I chose my platform to be about EpiPens and allergies. So my platform is called EpiCare's Epinephrine Education and Awareness. And with using my platform, I found my voice. And I can't tell you how thankful I am for pageants, because without them, I feel like I'd still be a shy individual. But I definitely can say with pageants, I found my voice, and I'm very proud of that.
I'm really proud of you too. That's so cool. Have you gotten to meet any younger kids and talk with them about what they're experiencing?
Yes, so I've been to a couple schools to read about food allergies. Me and my mom actually ordered a food allergy book on Amazon, and we read it to children, or I read it to children at my elementary school that I went to. And it was such an amazing experience, having them ask me questions like, "Are you a princess?" and stuff about allergies. It's just amazing, and I loved it. And I'm actually creating an allergy book, or I actually published it, and it's on Amazon, and it's called The Allergy Book. And hopefully I can read that to children as well.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Okay, we'll definitely have to link to your book. That's so impressive. I just keep getting more and
Yeah.
more impressed by you. What was important about going back to that school that you were at and being able to talk openly about having food allergies? What was it like being like for a kid in school with food allergies? What was it like for you?
It was definitely a proud moment getting to educate others. I'm used to educating others my age and adults, but having to educate little ones and starting them out at a young age, knowing more about allergies was just amazing. And I'm so glad I was the one who got to educate them on it. So it was definitely a surreal moment.
Yeah. Were you ever treated differently from your peers growing up? And so now, getting to go back and teach other kids that, like, look, you can grow up and be like me. Was that an experience that you had?
Yes. So when I was little, I did get bullied in elementary school. It was always through elementary school. It kind of wasn't as bad in middle school or high school. But in elementary school, I did get treated differently, saying, like, I wouldn't get invited to parties because of my allergies. I wouldn't get invited to any events just because they were scared that I would have an allergic reaction. And I mean, I guess I wouldn't say it was bullying. They were kind of just scared for my safety. But I feel like we should always include the food allergy community, especially if you're friends with them. But that is something that I went through, getting treated differently by my peers. But that's also what I want to explain with my platform. I want to teach others that you are not alone. The food allergy community is not alone. So that's one of my biggest goals.
What would you what would be a better way for a school age kid to handle that? So they just don't invite you because they're scared that you're going to get sick at their party. What would have been a better way for someone to talk with you about it?
So honestly, I don't remember what I personally did because I was young. I think that we just said it is what it is, but I don't think that's what other people should do. I think that they should stand up for themselves, say, "Hey, I think I should be invited to this," and I promise you nothing's going to happen with my allergies. I know how to handle them. I think just standing up for yourself is the best way.
Yeah, and you know what? Hindsight is always 2020, and when you're in the moment, you did the best with what you could and what you could handle. And having those conversations with your peers is not easy. So I think, what you're expressing right now is that now that you're older and you've had a time to think about what you would say, it's really easy to look back and say, oh, I should have done this. But it sounds like you did the best with what you could and what your personality was, right? You said you were a little bit meek and a little bit quiet, and that has great strength to it as well. So, yeah, I think thinking back, you should be really proud of yourself for even just getting through that kind of a thing. That heartbreak is really hard when you're in, elementary and middle school. So I think you're pretty awesome.
Thank you.
What do you think has helped you the most, since being diagnosed and having food allergies?
I would definitely, again, say my platform, being able to educate others while, I'm going through it. I have connected with a lot of food allergy patients, and we've all just come together. And I think that's the most important thing, that we all come together and make sure that nobody feels alone.
One of my last questions for you before we talk about how people can follow along and get to know you is, what do you think that other teens like yourself want their parents to know about having food allergies?
I definitely think that, especially when I was younger, I didn't understand. And I think that the most that we can ask is just for their utmost support, because at the times, again, we feel very alone and we just don't understand, especially at a young age. So the most important thing from a parent, I definitely would just say, for their support and love.
I love that. We can easily give that as parents, but it's really helpful to hear from you that that's enough and that feels really good.
Thank you. I'm so glad I got to talk about
this. Yes, me too. Well, is there anything else that you would like to share or touch on before we end our conversation?
I don't think so.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here and just being yourself and being such an inspiration to younger kiddos. I think you know how good that feels, like you're giving to them, but we get so much in return when we help kids, and it sounds like you're already feeling that.
Of course. I'm so glad I got here and just talk about allergies.
Yeah. What are your plans for the future? Where do you see yourself?
I plan on going, after my senior year, I plan on going to Northwest Community College, and I'm going to go into nursing for oncology for 2 years. And then after that, I plan on going to Ole Miss and continuing my nurse oncology journey.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. But I'm not surprised that you want to be an oncology nurse, because that takes a really special person, and you're really special.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I know that other child life specialists and parents are going to use this conversation to help other kids and teenagers who are having a lot of the same thoughts that you are. So you're definitely going to make them feel less alone. And thanks so much for being here with us today.
Yay. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Child Life On Call podcast. I'm your host, Katie Taylor, and you can follow us at Child Life On Call on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please rate and review to make it easier for other families to find us. We have cute merch available at www.bonfire.com/store/childlifeoncall, and you can listen to more episodes and find resources at childlifepodcast.com.